All right, hello. This is Alexander Wales. What are we doing today? Today is writing the exclusions document. Um, and sorry, I did not mute all my stuff. Okay, there we go. Hello, Matto. So I have the Worth Candle open. I was going to do conjoinery today. Sorry, this is let me switch to a non-dark mode. This is the current image for. Sorry to blind your eyes. I just hate light mode, but this is the current best candidate, in my opinion, for the publican exclusion zone. Are these chicken legs? Who can tell, right? But this idea of these moving taverns, I think this is the best thing I like about this is that it is evocative. Um, uh, but that's not what we're doing today. We're not doing AI art. We will probably do a different thing. Okay, so I was looking at conjoinery. It said I would do conjoinery. Um, Conjoinery has a problem. And that problem is that my only note on conjoinery was, well, okay. My only note on conjoinery was that it was part of Caradol, which is Ink and Ardor, and then it got excluded. There is, I was going to try and reconcile it, but there's a continuity issue, which is actually in this book, which is unfortunate because this book is like one that I think finished editing. So I'd have to go edit the actual like ebook, and I'd have to edit it here, and I'd have to edit it on Royal Road, and I really don't want to do that, and so I might just leave it as a minor error. But like, conjoinery is mentioned all of twice in Worth the Candle. This is one mention of it here, and the second mention is right here. This first mention is Juniper at Speculation and Scrutiny. He wants to know what excluded magic, or he knows he's in an exclusion, but he doesn't know which exclusion zone he's in, and he thinks maybe the exclusion zone he's in is conjoinery. The second mention of it is here. This is the sea monster Uther talking about his categorization system. I really should have just like written this entire paragraph and then stuffed it somewhere, because it is actually like an important, like it is an actual category system that I came up with to fit these after they had all been made. It's like a post hoc category thing. Yeah, maybe he just didn't know. That is like the easiest way to reconcile it. That he like didn't know about conjoinery at that point, or that like conjoinery is was like conjoinery was excluded, and the exact exclusion was different. So we have. I'm going to list them out here. We have I'm going to list out. I'm going to list out the pieces of evidence as presented in Worth the Candle that need reconciliation. The short version of this is I'm probably not going to do conjoinery today because I've been trying to think about it. It's been stressing me out a little bit because it's a hard reconciliation to make, and I'm going to talk about a little bit about trying to reconcile errors. I mean, it's not an error until you can't reconcile it or don't reconcile it, and even then, it's maybe not an error. There might be something, but this is one of those things where it's like two sentences, three sentences if you include the world building document. But let me put out the piece of evidence, and I'm going to spend maybe 10 minutes trying to think about reconciliation, mostly out loud. and how we might meet these pieces of evidence. Yeah, and if you're looking up here, the third mention of conjoin is about zombies. It's unrelated to these. And 3. So yes, you can definitely have Juniper make a... Did I have a concept in mind? I don't know. If I did have a concept, I did not write it down, and it has been lost to time. It was one of those things where I had... So I had this list for a long time. I had a list of excluded magics. Because I had a full list of skills, and that full list of skills included... here, I'm going to open this up in another tab, but I can show it to you, because I'm a... Oh boy. Okay. So fiction. Yeah, I just don't want you seeing my incredibly messy Google Drive, which has secret projects in it and stuff. Okay, this is the character sheet. This is the full skills list. Yeah, you know what? I should also search Discord. I think it is one of those things where I had an idea and then I didn't write it down, and then I maybe contradicted it because I didn't write it down. But why is it excluded? But this is this list existed fairly early on. I sat down to make it, and you can see there are some very brief notes. 13 is one of the 13 horrors, which this is not. This is not what we ended up doing for solar magic. So I'm gonna need to go through and double check all this, but this is one of the things that I just hate about working on Worth the Candle. Is there's so much stuff, and there's so much little notes and things. I was gonna see if I'd said anything about conjoinery prior to this in chat, and there is some interesting stuff like that list is I should have kept that list up. That list is longer than the list that's being used for this, because there are fewer exclusions than there are excluded skills and stuff. But I'm really, really trying my best not to add anything to the exclusion stock. Okay, so 10 minutes. One of Uther's magics. I think I probably answered that in... Oh, there's the train again. In the AMA, maybe? I am also going to... There's Worth the Candle Q&A, which I just contributed so many answers on. Here, I can bring that over so you can actually see it. Okay, it is one of Uther's 8 magic. I'd totally forgotten about that, although I have the list. And 2, believe it will be answered in the exclusions doc. So this is definitely a case where I had an idea. And I lost it, or I didn't write it down, or it was like minor enough. Okay, so these 4 things, yeah, it's in the Q&A. Uther was considered a master of 8 magic, but he had a lot more than that. They were just like used briefly and then discarded, or, you know, yeah, 8 known as well. So, exclusion is at an unknown location or known under a different name. It's loss at Ink and Ardor was Uther was involved. The name can fit a lot of stuff, yeah. I think it's a good name. Here are 2 of my problems. Flesh smithing and the plastic leak. I want it to be distinct from those. I want it to not repeat this like fusion power that the plastic magic has. Or you know, to be distinct from it. There's lots of stuff that you can do with fusion, stuff that I like have never seen before, or you know, maybe only seen once. It should also be different from flesh smithing, which where people like fuse flesh things into themselves, and might be the thing that we work on, unless I think I can crack conjoinery. Crack in terms of figure out how. Bacon Time also lists this, lists conjoinery as a magic. Also, this like, so I am going to go along with that. I'm going to add that to our, like, what do we know about conjoinery? Oops. And so it does have a name. I was going to say FS easy. FS easy is in fact taken. SCZ is taken. Sorry, did I say 10 minutes starting now? I meant like 10 minutes starting in like a little bit. Uther is not necessarily involved, based on what's been said. Uther, the exclusion could post-date Uther. Yeah, we might go with the objects thing. This phenomenological magics is what's most important to me, I think, at this point. Juniper not knowing it is not hugely important, I don't think. We are going to call this the Wes. There's one other thing I want to check, which was Ink and Ardor. I do want to read this because this is Insulator Years. It was expansionist, on the lookout for new magics. Okay, I think that's nothing I need to worry about. Like, because I don't think that this could be. I don't think its position at Ink and Ardor is important because it's only mentioned in the context of their attempts to expand with more magics. So I don't think that this is that this Ink and Ardor thing is anything to worry about. Other than that it was known magic, that it was excluded. Okay. Yeah, so if you write a long-running web serial, you will at some point need to fix plot holes, because keeping track of continuity is a nightmare. Especially for Worth the Candle. It hasn't really been a nightmare for This Used to Be About Dungeons, which is about half the length of Worth the Candle. Well, no, it's more than a third the length of Worth the Candle. But the continuity problems had already started to crop up in Worth the Candle very soon because of this large, expansive world, which is what people like about it. It's what I like about it. I don't know WEZ is correct. Here. We're going to do that. We're going to save that for after I figure this one out. So my mind goes to fusing objects as well. That it is like a object fusion power rather than a person fusion power. The other thing I was thinking about is that conjoinery doesn't really even necessarily need to have anything to do with conjoining, right? Yeah, there's a different definition I liked about conjoined. To join together. Yeah, plastic magic is just plastic and people. I thought I saw like to join together for a okay, whatever. I don't think there's anything there. I'm going to do a quick etymology check. I think I just have paralysis on this one. Because it feels like an area where bad planning catches up to me. All right, I think we're just going to go with the objects joining together. I think that I'm just going to get this done. That was like my first instinct. I was second guessing myself, and does it work with Uther? Yes. It works with steel magic. Oh, why do I ever close a tab? I almost opened up my internet history like on stream. Which would not be a disaster. There's nothing in the history there, but like it's also something that you should not do. I'm just looking for Uther's 8 magics to make sure that it's chronomancy. Warding, steel, still, vibration, star, wood, chronomancy, and conjoinery. So conjoinery I'm not going to delete all that. I love deleting things. Here, we'll just do this as facts. Make it bold, even though that's getting deleted. And I'm going to refresh myself on Wood Magic too, just to make sure. If this is an Utherian multi-magic, then it makes sense for it to work with 2 of the magics of which he was a master. So I'm going to catch up on Wood Magic, which I believe is in here. It's noted as being bad. Okay, and then like try not to contradict anything about wood. Okay, so the okay, so this is an exclusion which is not known to be the conjoinery exclusion, I think. I think that's what I'm going with. And that means that its timeline date is going to be post-Uther. I think it's going to be in this like inter-imperial time of chaos. We're going to say 83 FE. There's like 5 major time periods in North of Candle. It's well 6. So it's pre-imperial, First Empire, First Inter-Imperium, Second Empire, Second Inter-Imperium, and Third Empire. And that's the 6 things. Is this what warlocks from Tutbad? I would need to. I don't think that I have mentioned warlocks. Again, they have a world building entry in my world building doc for Tutbad. I have no memory of what they do. I'm actually going to double check that and make sure I'm not stealing from myself. Because I don't want to steal from Tutbad for the Exclusions doc. Let me... Oh shoot, I have like 4 planning docs here. And like some of the stuff that I wrote for Tutbad is like super out of date. Like ideas I didn't go with. Sorry, I'm doing this off screen because I don't want to. I don't want to show a bunch of this stuff. Okay, so we have druids, we have wizards, we have warlocks. Sorry, I'm just reading these like terrible notes. There's a world building doc and there's a revised world building doc. Oh, nope. This revised world building doc has like 6 sentences in it. I clearly started that and then there's no actual world building doc either. Okay, whatever. I'm done with this. Oh, right, duh. Warlocks stop things. That's... I totally changed my mind about what warlocks were from I need to redo the Tupad thing. That's right. Yeah, Marsha's a warlock. The note that I had was that they are like clerics but differenter spells. That was like the note that I left for myself. What a bastard. Okay, this is what I'm going with. I am just writing and hoping that it works out. Not the best way to do this. Don't try this at home. I mean, if you want to try writing your own exclusions at home, it's fine. Yeah, so canonically, there are like joining things together would work really well with wood magic and really well with steel magic because they're different like varieties of steel, and you can make special steel alloys that way and stuff, and that's neat. And then you can also fuse steel and wood in theory and use both magics on them at once somehow. That needs a little bit more thought, but this works well with both of these ideas. I don't know why I was like, no, it can't be like fusing things together. I think specifically this line, phenomenological magics, simple, understanded base principles, heavy on math and laws, and you always know exactly the result you're going to get, and you can map everything out. That was the idea for the sorry, I can't say that word. For the P magics. Sorry, I should not mention P magics. That gives people the wrong idea. So we just need to pick some letters. Cannot be like this. KWZ? Sure. Are we going to explain that? Why would I pick those letters, though? Here, you know what? There's a sign that the writing is not going well when... What is Pres? Is that just short for president? What is OYES? I don't know that one. Okay. So all the photo negative things. Yeah, and then flesh smithing is also going to be a nightmare to do. Here. now I worry that yeah, I'll do history. But I'm trying to lay out what I want this zone to be. It's just an area of merge. So the idea, I think, is that this is a place where objects merge with each other kind of at will. And because of that, because of all the magical stuff that has been brought in there, it is just like a fully merged object will be like nearly indestructible, will like kill a person, etc. Are you conjoinery is a root. Okay. I gotta. Sorry, I'm just like got this stupid. If I say ignore, add personal dictionary. Okay. I am worried I find this boring. I'm going to continue on with it. If we have one boring entry, that's fine. If we have, in fact, 10 boring entries, that's also fine. Fusing rail lines, yes. That would be a good use. Fusing rail lines. I'm just going to... Sorry, my notes section is super sloppy. But sometimes you like it super... Okay, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, the more that we can tie this to Uther, the better. This is specifically mentioning conjoinery. Because what this entry is going to do is it's going to talk about conjoinery, and it's going to talk about the exclusion zone, and it's going to talk about conjoinery being eventually tied to this exclusion zone. We don't say high level. We say, I mean, we don't want to imply the existence of levels. Okay. Um, I do need to check, do an ink and ardor check. Kerdal. Says in its later years. So this implies post-Uther. It had conjoinery post-Uther. Okay. Like, it very lightly implies that. Um, one of the questions that needs to be answered is how are things conjoined? Like what does the actual process of conjoining look like? What are the costs involved besides the material components? Who can become a conjoiner? I like the idea that people have to be born a conjoiner. Um, and then just like Uther just happens to be joined. Okay, so here's the dumb idea I'm having right now. There is a thing that happens where uh, there are twins in utero and one absorbs the other, and it happens a lot. Um, and just like people never know about it because it's identical twins form, and then one identical twin absorbs the other when it's still like a blastocyst. And that's the activation condition for becoming a conjoiner. So it's not a bloodline magic. It's a like in utero magic, which is it's dumb. um, it's dumb, and that's why we're doing it. That's um, chimerism is different because chimerism is you need them to be fraternal twins. And yeah, we can do a second. Is it excluded? Right. From timeline wise, that doesn't work. Although this time I just picked randomly, so this can very easily become a Second Empire exclusion. And I actually think it makes more sense for it to be a Second Empire exclusion, given the stuff that about Ink and Ardor. No, what we can't pin everything on the Second Empire. But then, like, how does anyone find out? It could be Second Inter Imperium. I think I'm gonna keep it where it is. But like to have that joke work, you know what? We can just include a note. Have a note from Juniper. Yes, it would be wonderful to have a chart. Uh, and you know what? In fact, because I have been diligent about putting dates in for all of these into here, generating a chart actually super easy. Um, in fact, I could just order this by date. Is that going to break something? Probably not, right? Yeah, here's our date sorted list of exclusions. So these are all Uther exclusions. And then these are like Juniper's dark period exclusions, which roughly line up with the end of the Utherian era. And it's like the start of the Second Empire exclusions, which go to like ends at Manifest. Yeah, I was gonna say ends exactly at Manifest, and then I think possibly I don't have it. I still never put a date down of the founding, but okay, this looks great. I will make a little graph of this and try to see where the gaps are, and try to make sure that there's stuff clustered in the Second Empire, which canonically there should be, and that there's stuff clustered. We need more Utherian exclusions, but most of those aren't going to be exclusion zones. So maybe I don't. Anyway, moving on. Trying to get this done. I can tell that today is not a good writing day, and I got to write like a significant amount of Dungeons chapter after this. So we'll see. I almost didn't stream today, but then I was like, you can't just like bow out of something you said you'd do. It's a way to like just stop doing something. But yes, I will possibly after the stream I will make a little graph of exclusions and when they happen, and I will post that in Discord or something, or I will have it up for myself as a tab here. So we'll see. I do love bookkeeping. I actually love that word, bookkeeping. It's one of no, this point out in Worth the Candle, right? The bookkeeping is one of the few words that has double letters, like 3 double letters in a row. Okay, sorry. This is not important to the conjoinery. But yeah, that is in fact in Worth the Candle. There was an Encyclopedia Brown story about that, and he like solves the case because of the word bookkeeping. It's like there's like a word competition or something, and someone who's a bookkeeper gets second place instead of first place, and then they find the first place prize is broken, and they know that she did it because she would have gotten bookkeeping as a word or something like that. But that's from Encyclopedia Brown, which I read a lot of when I was little. And I always wanted to be Encyclopedia Brown, solving cases with you know, my random trivia. Um, we're going to say it's partially a bloodline magic. Yeah, eating your twin is pretty common. It's more. I'm saying here that it's a bloodline magic, or like a partial bloodline magic. This is my understanding of the science of eating your twin. Because certain people have a genetic predisposition to having twins, either fraternal or identical. I mean, so if you absorb your identical twin, that's not chimerism. That was the only thing I was saying about that, which hopefully makes sense. Like those would still follow the activation conditions, but you're not a chimera because you're still genetically distinct or genetically the same throughout your whole body. Where chimeras have different parts of their body have different genetics. And this does turn out to be another Uther entry, after we just had one, but the order of these is going to be determined. To be determined. So I was going to say to be, yeah, TBD on what order these are going to actually be in. But I think it's just going to be on AO3, and I think it's just going to be one a day, and I think ideally I'll have an image for every one of them, unless I get like super sick of it. So I'm just going to clear a Discord notification. It was literally just someone sending a picture of a cat. Wow. I gotta check this wooden armor thing. I gotta reread the wood magic stuff. So yeah, I don't feel like there's been great streams so far. Partly because I'm just struggling with this one. But you gotta, I can't keep backloading stuff like this and just be like, hey, I'll do this hard thing later. Can't do the like easy fun ones. First, because that just is gonna kill my momentum. Okay. So Juniper says this, which is somewhat true. Like, it does, like, the question then is, why is Uther a wood mage? And I think it's because Uther sees something compelling in it, or like, I mean, yeah, it's and also conjoinery is excluded. Um, the obvious answer to Juniper there, I guess, is that like it wasn't made for him; it was made for Uther, and Uther did use it, and it was good for Uther. It had like some story beats to it. What has been decided? Okay, I will show you this is the whole document. I'm gonna scroll down a little bit so I can finish it. But this is we're doing a fusion of objects things. It's gonna be Utherian magic. It's going to be. I'm gonna finish this section on conjoinery first, and then I'm gonna do the section on the mystery exclusion and the fact that they found out later that this exclusion actually was conjoinery, which is like something Raven could have known, because that I think reconciles everything. It's also like one of those things that, you know, I'm fine with there being gaps or questions in Worth the Candle. I don't think everything needs to be, especially one line stuff, needs to be the most solid stuff in the world. I think that way lies madness, but beyond comparison. I think beyond compare is right. Beyond compare. Beyond compare is not what I want. Oh, I misspelled it. I used to use beyond compare when I was a software engineer. Is this like a tense or agreement thing? Okay, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to say beyond compare is correct, and beyond compare is like a phrase, though. I mean, like, yeah, you could replace that with stuff, but beyond compare is a phrase. I think possibly beyond compare needs to go behind a noun, You don't say were beyond compare. You say, okay, I changed my mind. I'm going to change it to what Google says. But yeah, you could use incomparable. That's an English word. It doesn't have the gravitas that I want. Okay, I'm going to turn my fan on. And open a window and get some more air in the office. And hopefully it is not too noisy. But yeah, okay. Looking at my mic thing, I think that probably is too noisy. But I'm getting too hot, so I might turn the mic off for a little bit or something. All right, well, you know what? If you barely heard it, then I am not going to worry about it. There's like a little mic monitor that shows noise levels, and I'm just like looking at it jumping around without me speaking. I don't use OBS. I use Twitch Studio Beta. Why beta? This is just like a native Twitch thing. There's no, but they have their own noise filters that I had calibrated. But in theory, you would want to calibrate your noise levels differently for if you're in a room and it's just you and there's no sound around, or if you've got like a fan going and a window open and stuff. But I think that the sound has gotten a little bit better since I started, because mic positioning mostly, and some changes. So hopefully the like clacking of keys isn't as loud as it was. This is like the amount of effort I'm going to put into streaming, though. There will not be additional effort. Sorry. It's abrupt exclusion in 83 FE. I think conjoining of entads is way, way too overpowered. I think it's something that Uther would have done a handful of times. But it, like, for anyone to do that is... maybe that's what got it excluded. I was just going to write the part where the exclusion happened. No, see, was an unknown is proper English. Okay. Gotta rephrase this. Like, yes, you can definitely, like, if you can conjoin entheads, then that's like super obviously degenerate. So maybe that is a good idea. But like for this exclusion, because like degenerate's what we want. Uh, I'm just gonna write. Just gonna write. Just gonna write, and you know, my rule for writing is that you should just write, and then like if you can just chuck it in the trash later if it sucks, or you can edit it if it only sucks a little bit, or maybe it comes out perfect the first time and you don't need to worry about it. So I say a lot, you know, we just get on with things. We just write. We just fill in words, and hopefully those words are good. This is my approach to writing. I think a lot of people get paralyzed with indecision, and that's very easy to do. I mean, like this entry has been me being paralyzed by indecision. If I get it done in like an hour and a half, that will be I will be happy with that because I know I've been struggling on this one. We're going to say local metal shop, not factory. Because this would have been 83 FE, they'd have factories, but Oh, I was gonna say, conjoinery has a person question mark notation on it, which is because one of the noted 13 horrors is not actually a person, or it's not actually an in-person zone, which meant that there needed to be a different zone that was a person. I don't remember exactly my thinking there, but I remember the numbers are fucked up because I had thought it interesting to have the numbers fucked up. Just really, really killing myself for no reason. To just be like, yeah, you know what would be great is to just like make this more like confusing and uncertain. Um, apprised? I guess that is not the same as appraised. Apprised. Okay. No, we call it Old Yonder. Um, gender here was just a. I find myself writing default male a lot. So So like this character of the altruist does need a gender, because I don't want to keep repeating the altruist, but I was gonna put he, and then I'm like, every now and then I need to check that. Ideally 50% of the time, or I think about gender and I think about what it says within the story and decide on she there, because I don't know. I also do try not to think about it too much, but I try not to just have it be, 95% men, when there's just like a random character. Yeah, diversity win. It's also one of those things I think you can like just think yourself straight into the ground, where you're like, okay, is it like, am I being sexist? Is this like, if we say this is an altruist who sets out to do a noble thing and then fails, and she's a woman, am I doing a bad thing here? But I try not to think about this stuff too much. I try to just make the genders roughly balanced, and hope that I'm not fucking up a lot. You can randomly roll, yeah. If I didn't need to leave the dock to do that, I probably would. What I really should do is have a little thing just like off to the one side of the keyboard. I can hit a button and get like a random character. Like if I just had like a little thing next to my keyboard, I could hit a random character button. Or dice would also do it, but I don't like rolling dice. I don't like having a bunch of dice on the table. I see like a bunch of dice on the table right now, but I actually literally do have a dice right next to my hand. So yeah, I could do that too. In this case, I thought it was more... Yeah, Mr. Dice Guy. I don't know. I'm not putting much more thought into it because, like I said, you can definitely think yourself into a hole when trying to decide that stuff. I mostly just want to avoid default male for everyone, which I'm pretty good about, like, not doing that. Like Dungeons maybe has too many women, but I do try to make sure that that I avoid my tendency to just have everyone be a guy. Obviously, the main characters are 80% women, but which was a problem early on, I think, and also one of those things that I would like if I were rewriting. I'd probably have it two guys and 3 girls, maybe. I don't know. Well, for the in-person exclusions, they should be mostly male if they're meant to reflect Juniper in some way. Like, it makes more sense for him to be reflected by boys or men. Doris Finch being one exception, but that one there's a purpose for gender, not for Doris Finch. That for Doris Finch, I think it was just, I don't know. I don't know why Doris Finch was not. What's the male version of Doris? I don't know why I didn't do Doris Finch as male. I'm not sure how much that idea that each in-person zone should reflect Juniper in some way or should be. I don't know when I started that idea. I'm not sure it was there from the beginning, though. Donald Finch. But yeah, it's something I try not to think too much about because I think you can just like think around in circles and then you're spending like 5 minutes thinking about whether a character should be male or female and what that says about the work and what it says about gender, and it's just like it's not that important, you know. Like, I think the trends are more important than that, and we'll say 4 time, and then we'll say the exact year here. The base metal was a conjoined thing. I don't know if this is going in the actual article, but it's listed as a 200-pound piece of metal. My idea was that it is a piece of metal that had been conjoined to a conjoiner. I thought that was like it's of unknown provenance. Why? Like, where's the conjoiner? He got fused with this piece of metal. Or fused himself with a piece of metal. Yeah, 200 pounds is a little on the heavy side, but you know that's, and I don't think that's going in there. I think that's just going to be background detail. Um, but that was kind of the idea. I like that idea. They have this piece of material from unknown provenance, and like you wonder where the conjoiner is. You see that the weight maybe roughly matches up. Um, and then you're like, oh, what if? And also this like is an auto conjoining metal. Like I don't know. There's something there. Uh, I'm not sure exactly what, but I think leaving it unsaid is. You thought people couldn't be conjoined. Well, this is why it's an exclusion. I think conjoining people or like reclassifying a person to an object is interesting. I also think that it's necessary for the zone to be able to conjoin people for it to be a major exclusion. I think for it to like convert, you like walk into the zone and it converts first your shoes and then your like bits of your flesh, and you like have to keep moving. I worry that's too similar to glassy fields, but so I'm going to try to make it distinct from that, because I don't want this to just be like, oh, it's glassy fields but with metal. I don't want that. I think that's boring and lame. Yeah, zone with female character. Well, it's not a zone with female character. Like this woman's mentioned once, and the only reason her gender is mentioned is because I needed a pronoun there. I didn't want to repeat the altruist, and I could reword the whole thing to not mention gender at all. I'm not gonna do that because I don't care that much. I just don't care about gender very much at all. I mean, obviously I do, in the sense that I find it interesting and worthwhile to talk about, but I don't want to. It's not something I want to agonize over with every like gender choice. Oh man, it's almost 1 o'clock local time. Uh, innocent words becoming very loaded through the years. Yeah, there's some discourse on Tumblr. I don't go on Tumblr. I go on the curated Tumblr subreddit. There's this thing that I found really interesting about is a post that said there's a mouse girl bartender and she hands you a drink, or she has a drink on top of her head and she says it's on the mouse, which is like a dumb pun. And then someone's like, wow, like you didn't have to say mouse girl, you say girl, and it's like the sexualization. And people are like, well, you think the word girl is sexualizing? Like that? How like porn brained are you that the word girl has this sexual connotation to you, that like you can't read girl and not think about like a sexy mouse or something. I found that like super interesting. The it was like a set of people reacting to this like dumb conversation and stuff, but like it's kind of not true, but it was something to think about. Like, why is the word girl in there? Like, why is it not just a mouse bartender? Why would you specify girl, and then why would you, like, how does that change the pun? It doesn't change the pun, right? It does it make it cuter? Possibly. Like what is the role that the term girl has in there, and what are the connotations of the term girl? And so I was actually going back through. Sorry, this is digression time. I was going back through. This used to be about dungeons, editing it, and one of the things I noticed was that in the first dungeon, Alfric says the girls, like, a lot. Like, he put himself in front of the girls. And I'm like, that's not something that I did in later chapters. And I don't really know why I did it in those, like, let's say the first 10 chapters. Yeah, it's digression stream. We're I'm obviously not super focused today. But yeah, Alfric uses the term girls to refer to the rest of the party. And I was thinking about that, and I was thinking that might be why people thought that it was a harem. And in later, in later chapters, he always refers to the collective of all the other people except him as the party. And so I changed I think almost all instances of where he says specifically girls to the party instead, which I'm hoping reduces how much people on first read think of Alfric as, like, a creep, or as this is a harem, which it's like neither of those things are true. Like, they're not intended to be true by the reading. But I was thinking that specifically in terms of Mouse Girl Discord. Like, why did I use the word girls there when I can just say the party? So it was something for me to think about. It's something like one of those language things that, because I was talking with the publisher for This Used to Be About Dungeons, and they were like, they I don't think had read. I got a publication deal mostly on the strength of its numbers on Royal Road. Like, it's a top 100 story. It's well rated. It's got like 1 million views, 3,000 followers, and they were like, yeah, let's do it. But I don't, like, they hadn't read all 600,000 words, and they just wanted to, like, clarify the harem stuff, because that's, like, in the comments on the first 2 chapters. It's like one of the first things that you see if you're reading, and you're reading the comments and you're trying to figure out what kind of story it is. So I thought about that while I was doing editing, specifically relating to the word girl, and how, yes, I think people have sexualized it and, like, gendered in a bad way. I try to, I guess for me, like, the distinction between women and girl, I do try to say women, but I'm also, I'm 30, 36, and I don't, like, I interact with women, like, no one that I would consider, like, girl age, like a teenage girl. I don't interact with, like, teenage girls even a little bit, unless I'm, like, getting coffee or something, and then I say thank you, and that's about it. But I'm old enough now that I feel like women is much more appropriate. Oh, no. Oh, no. To the metal. How did we get here? I don't know. I just want to talk about gender. Because there's a woman mentioned very briefly, and I had to decide on gender there. I do like talking about this kind of stuff because I find it interesting, because I find it enlightening. I guess I try to be considerate of readers and what impact I have on them. Allowing what soil stone. Yeah, I also like the idea that this is something that totally could have been the like. I think we're getting there. I think this is maybe the last paragraph of this of history. This like warding against conjoinery would not ward against conjoined materials. I don't think, like, normally that's not. It's kind of one of those debatable things. Like, you present that to a dungeon master. I would say you can't ward against conjoined materials because those are just like the natural materials of it now. But it would stop the spread. It would stop the process of conjoining, if not, but not the conjoined materials. That's what I would say as dungeon master. And I am the dungeon master of Worth the Candle, so technically I have an avatar who is the dungeon master of Worth the Candle. Yeah, annihilation wards against conjoinery could annihilate the magic in it. Possibly. Um, Annihilation against the magic would annihilate glass. Yes. I mean, normally there's like latent magic that is part of the material, and so you annihilate it, I guess. And I do think this does reconcile all my problems I was having at the beginning. I do think that this has been like one of the things I was feeling a little anxious about on my like morning drive to get some coffee. I was feeling anxious about this entry, and I think this does reconcile to my. Ooh, yeah, that would be great. Some kind of half stone person. I don't know that that's going in there because I like. There is one thing I want to like that's going to be a part of this zone that I haven't gotten to, but I will include it in features. God, I'm going to have so much stuff to delete. It's going to be great. Okay. The decades-long gap. Oh god, these freaking dogs! I don't hate dogs. I hate that people have their dogs outside, and those dogs just like. We could give Grack a win. No, we don't give Grack a win. I mean, we not in the world building doc. It can be left implied. We're not going to say. Here, we can imply it. I'll give you that. Bloop. And yes, 529 FE is like after the story takes place, but this is from a library timeline. Because of how the process works, it's not conjoining a person, it's conjoining the materials that make up a person. So let's say you're just like standing there because you're an idiot. You're standing on this like metal, and it is converting your like the flesh of your feet, and I guess I never specifically say it converts bone, but it converts the flesh of your feet, and then you are stuck there. Or maybe you can still move around with metal feet, but then the material is making up your feet, and it starts slowly traveling up you, and you would die. After the first... Okay, that makes sense. For it to... Like, this presumably could have happened during the period when Juniper was gone. This is something that Grack did on his own. But we're not going to say that it was Grack. We're just going to imply that it was Grack. because you say a dwarf warder. Logically, there are like thousands or tens of thousands of dwarf warders, but the reader only knows of one, so I think that's cute. It's maybe a little too cute, but I'm leaving it in unless I kill it in the edit. The decades-long gap between decades long should have a hyphen. Thank you, autocorrect. Gotta give it credit where it's due. Okay, moving on to features. Man, this one took a long time. I'm just looking at the clock. It's one. I've been streaming for an hour 45. Yeah, that's not. There's not enough text here, but whatever. Some of them are a struggle. I think I did manage to make it good. I think it's one of those things where you feel anxious, and like nothing is working, and you work on it, and am I gonna do this note? I just looked at this note and I just laughed. You work on it and then you feel a little bit better about it. I try not to despair too much. I try to just work through things. I looked at fetus absorption. I was just like, what the hell? What does this have to do with anything? Like, okay. Is it Oyas? Like, Oyas doesn't really make sense here. Oyas, yeah. I might change that. I might change that to, because what does Oyas mean, again? This is not a word I know. It's like not a word I know, but it's also a word I looked up. A call given by court official or formally by public criers to command silence and attention. That actually really would be good for Boldler. Oh, yes? Oh, it says, oh, yeah. Oh, no. How do you say that? Okay, whatever. No, not going to worry about it. I'm not going to say it again. So then no one will be able to call me on my bad pronunciation. Yeah, the idea is that there's not a wood to plant bridge. I'm not 100% sure on this, but I like the idea that there are certain things that are not yet affected. And we can say bone. I like this because it's horrifying. It's not that horrifying, but like... Metallized? Metallicized. What? What is this word? That's... We're just gonna put metal. I don't think Is there a mortal species that is just walking skeletons? I mostly did that because I don't want to... Like, in theory, you could cut off your feet and just walk around on bone stumps, or have, like, bone boots, or something like that. Like, in theory, you could make a raft out of bone, and then have bone be the... Like, you could, in theory, do that. It's still a major exclusion, but, like, if there are things that are not converted, that do not yet have a bridge, then you can make a barrier for yourself. But like if a leaf will not be converted and a root won't be converted, then a plant, certain varieties of plant, would be fine. So we'll see. I think that's interesting. This is a more interesting thing than just having everything be a solid mass. And then this is the other part that I add some texture to it, basically. And I don't think I'm going into detail on this paragraph here. Can I just get a check that this is clear? I think there needs to be a sentence here. It's not absorption, it is conversion. RDLLE acts. Oh no. The riddle acts are for controlling research. They're not for special threats. New. Okay, we did not really go into role in the Industrial Revolution. I'm fine with that. I think that covers everything. We don't talk about ink and ardor, that's fine. Then all this can be gone. Uther was not involved. Okay. In theory, a scavenger could go in and collect, like, maybe an entad that had not been absorbed, or that was, or not been converted. Not absorbed, converted. Is, uh, second to last paragraph. And we'll change that to speed, which I think conveys information better than rates. Conversion speeds. People born after the exclusion still get the bloodline magic in their soul. Yes? I'm going to say yes. I think that's undefined within the text, but I'm going to say yes. It's one of those things where I hope that my thought process is the same every time. I think I would answer yes to that every time. Partly because it's more interesting, right? It's more interesting if conjoinery is not technically dead. If you could technically have conjoiners go into a special facility in the exclusion zone, and continue with their conjoinery, that would be, that would be interesting. More interesting than just having no one be able to be a conjoiner at all. There's an opportunity for a story then. We do not capitalize it. And yeah, this actually isn't technically bloodline magic. It's just the fetal absorption thing. Special Threats Department. Yeah, I can change that. Special Threats. The EOCC Special Threats Department. Special Threats. Department of Special Threats. It's not Special Threats Department, it's Department of Special Threats. Oh, joy. There we go. There, that is more correct. Sorry, I gotta still look at the... Nope, special... Still gotta look at this other one. We're gonna abbreviate here too. I would like to mention special threats a few more times. If I were scope creeping like crazy, which, maybe. If I were scope creeping, I would be like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to have like a full entry on the Department of Special Threats and their policies and everything they do. And I'm going to have an org chart. And I'm going to do all this stuff. I'm going to say that twin absorption can happen. I'm going to say that if twin absorption can happen before or after fetal ensoulment, but if it happens before ensoulment, it doesn't count. There is a thing. There's a book that I wrote and never published. I mean, it's not finished. It's okay. There's like a third of a book that I wrote where souls play a major thing. I cannibalized them into Worth the Candle. That particular conception of souls. It was called something souls. And I'm going to say sorry. Let me like unnest my thoughts for just a moment. I wrote a book where the soul thing was in it, and the idea of twin-souled people with two souls, was in there. And I'm probably never going to finish that book. It was like I realized midway through that I was doing one part The Emperor's Soul by Brandon Sanderson, which is like, in my opinion, the best thing he's ever written. It's a novella. I like it even more than Way of Kings, which most people say is like a high watermark for Sanderson. And then it was one part of the first Takeshi Kovacs novel, whatever that one's called. Like, the plot of it was like the Takeshi Kovacs novel, where you have this officer come in. It had some interesting stuff in it. I cannibalized the souls from here, and they're like the use of souls as like material goods and stuff. It was kind of also this East Asian culture that I had written this in like 2010. I'd be a little more careful about it now, because people are very sensitive to that kind of thing. That the like cultural appropriation, not even cultural appropriation, but like the way in which you use fantasy cultures. I haven't run into too much of that with Dungeons, which I was a little worried about, but people are sensitive to that, and I try to step lightly, or at least do a bunch of reading and try to figure out like what people actually think about these things and what impacts them as readers, because I don't want to alienate people. People talk about being canceled all the time. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about writing something that people just like fucking hate because of a thing that I just didn't think about. That's what I care about more. Anyway, this novel didn't happen, and it had the twin-souled thing in it, and I'm now cannibalizing the twin-souled thing here, because I've always been hugely interested by the chimerism and some of fetal absorption stuff, but the conception of souls and the way that souls are in Worth the Candle comes from that abandoned book that I wrote like a third of, and it was derivative of things without me meaning to be a derivative of things, and it did follow the plot of, I think it was Broken Angels. No. Whatever the first Takeshi Kovacs novel is, I had read it, and I think I was watching the show, and I was like, oh, like, that novel I had wrote that I still had, or that I had like a third of, like, the plot is too close to that, like, of people like soul swapping. It's like a fantasy version of this, of this sci-fi concept, which is good, but then like you have this detective, and he's in a different body, and there's just a lot of overlap. All right, digression over. I think I had a different nested thought there that I have now lost, but whatever, doesn't matter. I'm gonna get to the end of this exclusion. I'm gonna set myself up for next time, and then I'm gonna be done writing this exclusions doc and work on dungeons, and hopefully make a good chapter for next time. I think I've got some interesting stuff for dungeons lined up, but needs to be written, and I need to not be spending so much time on this. It's like a long VOD because of the digressions. Sorry, I need to read up on conjoined twins. Only partially separates. Interesting. So this is, conjoined twins are technically the opposite of what I want here. Alright, I'm going to be done with this one, and then I will... I'm going to be done with that. I need to be done. This is 1,400. That's on the long side. Total word count, 32,700. We're going to mark this one done for now. Obviously, I'm going to come back in and edit. Like, everything needs to get at least a second pass. I am going to leave the person question mark there, because that can potentially be the in-person zone. We call that first pass, and then for next time, I'm definitely going to do Pendleham. I might only do Pendleham. We'll see. But I do like to have two set up, and I think, you know what? I think it's Manifest. That means I'm doing two story ones. Yeah, whatever. I kind of feel like doing Manifest. Manifest. In 324 FE. Manifest was... well, I'll talk about Manifest next time. This is dumb. Like, this is dumb to just, like, introduce a random one that has, like... that defies the code, but I don't know. I like it. So this is... we call this a... Fall of the Second Empire. This is like an important story one, too, because it's like... is mentioned and then never explained. In fact, I'm going to do a real quick check. 57 hits. Oh, no, we just want the name. Manifest. And I'm sure that sometimes Manifest is effectively Immortal Man. I'm just gonna do some... There have been Amaryllis notes. Yes. There's this one. For Laloni. That's it. So yes, we do need more notes from Amaryllis. I'll figure out a place to do them. I am going to just real quick just pull some quotes from here. So that I am set up for next time. Because if I don't pull quotes now, then some of my, quiet thinking time, where I do a lot of writing, where I'm just like sitting there thinking to myself in my own little world or whatever. Passenger manifest, passenger manifest, 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 manifest. Whoops. I don't think there's anything to look at. Oh, right. This is Falatair. This is another one. Another one. Raven's not responsible for manifest. I think this would be funny if it were true, but I don't think it can be. Right, I definitely could match case. And then I'm gonna go on Reddit real quick. Ooh, nice. Upvote that. There is a guy. Yes. I think you are right that this is a good place for an Amaryllis rant. I'm going to put that in for next time, though, because I'm done with the stock for today. And by... I'm going to put question mark, because this is already like a super long... This is like 1,500, or not 1,500. No, yeah, 1,500. This is already a 1,500 word thing, but I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna put in a to-do there. I might do that next time. We'll see how I feel about it. But the Flesh Smiths of Pendleham and Manifest. I'm gonna search for something real quick and see if I have a pull quote. I'm just searching. I'm searching Reddit. I'm not doing it on screen because it makes me like slightly nervous to search things on screen because I don't know what I'm going to see. I don't want like all my previous searches to be total public knowledge. I think that there was a post I made on Reddit. But it's hard to search. So maybe I don't have it. I thought that there was a post about Manifest. That I put on Reddit. I don't know where it would be. And I have so many posts on Reddit that they're like nearly impossible to search. And of course I have all these posts, so like anything at all that anything like, it's so hard to. This might have been it. I think it's a description of Manifest though. I'll include that there because it's like a story thing. It's a story beat that is different from what I'm thinking of. But I will include it for the sake of. Yeah. Thanks for finding that. It's definitely not what I'm thinking of, though. I don't know where it would. This specific thing. The specific thing I was thinking about was it's maybe a world building post that possibly would not have mentioned Manifest. I think it was something about absolute control. It actually might have even been a. Okay, I'm gonna stop searching for this now because it's gonna be impossible to find. Maybe I'll search for it later. But it would have been in a. It might have been Discord. I thought it was like a longer thing where I was talking about like there's a city and a guy that controls all the people in the city. But it might have been under the CRJ username, possibly. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be done searching for this. I'll just recreate it from scratch. I swear there was something though. There was something that I wrote that was like mostly what I'd been thinking of. No. Okay. Given up. Thank you for joining the stream. I think I'm all set up for tomorrow. I'm planning to stream tomorrow, and I will. This is like a struggle. This stream for sure. Struggle with the writing, not with the streaming. And tomorrow's going to go a little smoother because it's stuff that's much more planned and much more concrete, and no reconciliation that needs to be done that I know of. So, I will see you guys next time. Thanks for joining.